everyone. I'm Doug Stotler, Director of Athletics at Jefferson College, and you're watching Sports Talk. It's been no secret that the Jefferson College women's basketball team has been on another tear this year. They are currently 26-1, and alongside is Coach Kevin Emerick, head women's basketball coach of the Vikings at Jefferson College. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you.
Again, I hope we haven't jinxed anything by saying you're going to go to the national tournament and get that 30th win, but that's what I'm thinking as an athletic director. No pressure, but can we get there?
Well, the players at this point of the season know that if you win, you're done. You know, we're right here at the end of the season, closing it out, and once you get into region play, you win, you're gone. So our players know that. So the 30th win is potentially the first game of the national tournament if we win out and get there. So they know what the goal is, and they're well aware of that.
Well, and Coach, I've already mentioned how staggering one of these numbers is this year at 26-1, your overall record. And what I'd like to do is just go down some of these amazing numbers and let you speak a little bit about how you got there and really what it means to you and your players. But again, let's just talk generally about your overall record at 26-1.
Yeah, to have brought in 2 sophomore transfers and only bring 3 players back from last year that really had any quality minutes in the season really made that possible this year. And we've got some freshman contributors, and just the whole team has just gelled really well together. And we've had some close wins, closer than we've had in the past. Some difficult games all season, and it's been an interesting year, and I've seen incremental progress, as probably you have, watching the team and being familiar with basketball throughout the year. We've certainly gotten better, and I think that's probably the key to that record. And then also just some determination and some consistency that they decided to buy in and get with the program in October, and that's carried through the whole season.
Coach, another number that I'm going to throw out is the number 54, and that number began at some point in 2006, and what I'm referring to is a home winning streak of 54 straight games. And again, I believe we calculated it was somewhere in January 2006 that began. Take us back a couple of years, because that goes back a couple of coaches ago, I believe.
Yeah, it really does. Gary Cook started that streak back in January of 06 in his last year here, and I took over in April of 06. And, you know, people talk about us being good, and we have been, and I'm proud of the players we've had and the records we put up. But Gary won 53 games the 2 years before I was here. He won, I think, 28 and then 23, so he had 51 wins the 2 previous years. So he was successful too, but since then, 06-07 was our first year, and it speaks about the players that we've had and some good luck and some good fortune to put together a 54-game home winning streak over 4 years and a little more than 4 years, and literally maybe 25, 30 different players throughout that 4-year stretch, and all have picking up the torch and taken it seriously to hold that home court advantage, and that's where we stand today.
And of course, those were some pretty solid teams coming through here during that time frame. Are any of those standout games in your mind where you beat somebody perhaps that you shouldn't have to keep that streak alive?
Well, I think John Logan, 2 years ago early, was a very difficult game. We had a 3 or 4 point win against Swick here in my first year, which was a really tough victory for us. The first time we played Mineral Area here after Coach Cook left, it was a 4 point win for us, 66-62. So we could have easily lost that game on our home court. And there have been a number of others that were less than 10. But overall, if you look back through, and you mentioned this the other day, we've been pretty dominant here at home. There haven't been many close games over that 4 years, which speaks a lot about the home court advantage we have and how well our teams are prepared and how seriously they take that streak. Nobody wants to be the first team to lose that first game at Jefferson in the last 4+ years.
Well, and I'll change that word from pretty to absolute. You've been absolutely dominant, and it's a wonderful accomplishment. However, it doesn't stop there. We talk about the games in the region and the conference on the road as well, and that streak is at 47.
Yeah, and that is probably the most unusual streak I've ever heard of in athletics, at least in basketball, because it was just kind of a series of events that took place over the last 4 years that our 5 losses outside the national tournament were on neutral courts. And, so they actually weren't away games. And so to say that a team or a group of young ladies, several teams have went through 4 years without losing an away game, You tell people that, and they would just say that's not possible. It's just not possible to go 4 years without losing an away game, unless you're UCLA from the 60s and 70s, a John
Right.
Wooden type team. So again, most of the time I've just been there as a cheerleader and somebody just driving the bus, and our kids have just played really well and really focused, and they take every game seriously, and they prepare, and it's a testament to those 4 groups of young ladies that that's actually happened over the past 4 years.
You know, and we mentioned just briefly the neutral site record, and I want to point to that. And that record is 26-10, and it just happens to be that the single loss this year was on a neutral site. But the majority of those games have been national tournament games. Is that right?
Yeah, half of those losses have been at the national tournament, and 3 of those 5 losses were in the first 2 years at the national tournament. We only lost 1 game last year at the national tournament. We were 4-1. So I think the thing about that I think about with these young ladies is that we've only lost 5 regular season games over the past 4 years outside the national tournament. And to have a record of 117 or 118-5 regular season and region season without the national tournament it'll probably never happen again in my career, and it may never happen again here at Jefferson College. And it's not about the coaching, it's about the support around the program, and it's about the ladies that we've recruited and have come here and played for us, and they've just done a tremendous job over the last 4 years.
And again, the numbers go a little bit more staggering. We're 8-0 in the Midwest Community College Athletic Conference. We're 11-0 in NJCA Region 16. And you know, I guess I try to think back at some accomplishments that some men's region coaches perhaps have met. You know, we talk about Gene Best, but I don't think anybody has numbers close to this in their program. We'd have to go back to the archives and dig that out. But Coach, you've certainly set a standard here that's incredible.
Well, I appreciate that. It's to go 4 years without losing a region or a conference game is amazing, and it may never happen again to us here. But we've had a lot of good fortune and a lot of help, and we've stayed healthy. We've got a great trainer that's been on board with us now 2.5 years, Greg Crane, and the administration, the academic people, to keep those kids in school, the faculty, to help those young people along academically, so we didn't lose anybody to academics. And we haven't had a player transfer out of our program in the last 3 years. They've all stayed and completed the season, everybody that started. So we've had a lot of good fortune, and we've worked really hard, but we've had a lot of help doing that work. And I guess the wins are a result. It's not what we shoot for, but I think the wins are a result of what we do and how we do things and how people on campus do things.
A result of all these victories has been rewarded by the NJCA National Poll putting your team at #1 in the nation. Obviously, the players have done a tremendous job, but every game they've played, there's been a bullseye on their back, and I'm sure every team that's come in here would make their season if they defeat you or at their building. How have the players responded to that type of challenge? Because that's a really difficult thing to own up to as a player. You know, you just kind of walk in there as a player, and all of a sudden they're expected to compete at a level that more than likely they've never been required to compete at before. How have they dealt with this notoriety and this fantastic run?
That's a great question. I think each team has handled it differently. Last year's team took it as a challenge. They were preseason #1, and they really felt like they deserved it, and they wanted to prove to people that they deserved being there. So they never felt any pressure. Last year's team. I think this year's team, since we didn't start off #1, felt like they wanted to catch last year's team, and they wanted to prove to people that they were every bit as good as last year's team. So we worked really hard. You can't do anything about the rankings. The only thing you can do is try to be as good as you can and win as many as you can. Prepare and do things right, and that's what this team did. So I think what you said is really true, that every team we play perceives this as a tournament night or a championship night against Jefferson College, and we can make their season if we show up and are not ready to play. And so I think that pressure has been there, that we just have to have a great game every night. I don't think the kids feel any nervousness or internal pressure, but they certainly know that we get everybody's best shot on a given night, and that has raised our level of play, and it's kind of been a self-perpetuating thing. You get ranked high and you get everybody's best effort, and you've got to get better to stay there, and I think our team has done that.
Well, and again, I'm assuming that that's what makes you so strong in the postseason, is that you're playing those tournament games, so to speak, every night. Does that help you get ready for the
Oh,
tournament?
for sure. I mean, you've mentioned it when you see the Division II schools come in here and play so hard against us and play such great games, Lewis and Clark and Merrimack and Flo Valley, teams that really don't have as much scholarship money and don't have quite the talent we've got, but are very well coached, great programs. They come in here and just play us tougher than nails because they're loose and they've got nothing to lose.
Right.
And so we do get prepared for that, and I think it does help us, especially this time of year. We had a tough State Fair game this year at State Fair, and we could have easily lost that ball game. Didn't play very well, but at the end, the last 5 minutes, we had been in that situation a number of times where teams were pushing us. We didn't panic, we didn't get nervous, we just went ahead and closed the game out.
Well, and you mentioned State Fair, and it's crossed my mind to ask this question. At one point during the season, we were either ranked 3 or 2, and State Fair came into the field house ranked at 10 or 11. And the question that I conjured up is, will Region 16 be the best region in the country? You were ranked either 2 or 3, and State Fair was ranked 11 or 12,
Mm-hmm.
and I think somebody else was receiving votes at that time.
They were.
Is that an argument that can be made?
Well, I think so. The final poll just came out, and State Fair finished top 10, and we finished number 1 in the nation. So to have 2 teams out of our region be top 10 in the nation or top 11 in that top 10 or 11 schools, I think is really speaks a lot about Missouri and about Region 16. And State Fair has had talent every year. They put together a great group every year, and we've been fortunate to stay ahead of them, but you can see this year that they've gained ground. I mean, to get respect across the country for that massive record they've got, which is about 24, 25, and 3 or 4, speaks a lot about what the nation thinks about them, and the fact that they're trying to catch us and playing us tough has helped them a lot in the national polls, and it's helped the respect for our region and the basketball we play here in Missouri.
Coach, obviously in junior college, you place an awful lot of emphasis and responsibility on sophomores. And you've got 5 very good sophomores, and you know, the evidence is there when you can point to the fact that all 5 are averaging in double figures points each game. Run down this list of sophomores for the fans and give us an idea where they're at scoring-wise for your team.
Well, I think it's interesting that Portia, again, leads our team in scoring, Portia Porter, and probably the most highly recruited student athlete we have, although the first 5 of those sophomores are all being recruited highly. And then what Alicia Goodwin has done at the off-guard position, transferring in, is fairly impressive, coming into a team that's ranked top 5 in the nation and just immediately becoming a starter, never having been here before. Speaks a lot about her competitive drive. She's probably the most competitive kid I've ever coached. And I think Portia's probably the most athletically talented guard probably that I've ever coached. Just is so good off the ball and has such explosiveness and bounce and speed. You know, Portia just separates from people on the floor. She just, if she gets the ball and gets in the open floor, she just puts people behind her. So those 2 guards have been the base for what we've done in the starting 5. And the improvement in Ashley Brown, who played last year and started some last year as a freshman, has just been amazing. Ashley is a 6-foot long athletic 3-4 player that rebounds like a 5 and has got such long arms. She plays about 3 inches bigger than she really is. She can shoot the 3 and she can post up, and she's the player everybody's looking for out there. And she's hard to find, and she's very highly recruited right now by a lot of major schools. So, and to have Shaq Wiggins come back, and after she was all-tournament team last year at the national tournament, one of the top 10 kids in the nation at the national tournament, to make all-tournament team as a freshman and come back and put up the numbers she has. And Shaq has had a bit of an off year for what she probably would like, but she's been consistent. She's been there every game in rebounds and points. And the one thing you'll notice about Shaq is that every time there's a big game, and we like to think they're all big, but we know some games are different than others. And every time there's a big game, Shaq is there for us. She comes and plays, and she's really getting more consistent with her effort. And then what we haven't had in the past 3 years since I've been here before this year is a back-to-the-basket post player. And Alicia Dunn transferred in out of Arkansas State by way of Kansas City, and just a tremendous back-to-the-basket post player with post-up moves and great hands and a great rebounder. She can shoot it out to 15 feet. And Alicia and Alicia, the 2 transfers in from Division I's, have just made a huge difference in our program. They both bought in. They've both been really good kids, and they both become leaders for us and joined the other 3 that are back. And the other sophomore, Alexis Skurlock, who's one of the best players I've ever coached as far as athletic ability, has been there every day in practice. She gets not a lot of minutes in games, but she always plays hard. And Alexis is overlooked a lot of times as a great leader for us in that sophomore class. And so she's our 6th sophomore, and she's going to end up doing very well when she leaves and getting her education and getting a scholarship to play somewhere as well.
Well, and that's an interesting point. Of course, I don't want to bring up any particular schools, but we've seen several Division I colleges into, I guess, make decisions on finalizing recruitment of your players. Yep. Talk a little bit about when they can sign and when they can make their decisions about where they go after Jefferson.
Right. Well, Shaquanda signed early in the fall during the early signing period with Cincinnati, so that's done. And so she knows she's going to be going to the University of Cincinnati playing in the Big East Conference. And the rest of the players are being recruited heavily by schools in the Mountain West, the Big East as well, the ACC, the Big 12, the SEC Conference, and several of the other lesser conferences or smaller conferences, including the Missouri Valley and the Big Ten. So there's mid-major coaches in our gym on a regular basis from some great schools, great academic schools, as well as great schools for women's basketball. And last year we sent Danielle to Texas A&M in the Big 12 and Toya to Louisville in the Big East. So these young ladies know what it's like to play at that level because they played with those two last year. So they know they can play at that level, and it's just been it's been great for me to talk to some of the best coaches in the country, and it's been great for our kids to get to see those programs and visit those schools. And it's given great visibility to Jefferson College all over the country, across the nation. And Jefferson College has been well known for a lot of things over the years, but certainly what we've done in women's basketball has raised the awareness and visibility of Jefferson College in the athletic world dramatically the past 4 years. And those kids get the credit for that.
Well, and Coach, I think there is another group that deserves some credit. You certainly can't do the coaching alone, and you've got a staff that you're very proud of. What have they meant to you this year?
Well, to get to 26-1 with as many new players as we've had, you can't do it without a lot of help. And you know, Anna and Doc have been with me all 4 years, and Kristen Moore came in this year as coming out of high school. She was a high school coach at John Hope High School, excuse me, and had coached Ashley Brown in high school and had done a great job, obviously, coaching Ashley and giving her a good base to come in and do what she's done here. So Kristen's been outstanding. She's the lead assistant. She's filled that role of being there every day, taking care of the game scouting and the recruiting and helping me with on-floor coaching and preparation. And Anna's there doing the paperwork and making sure that the travel's taken care of and the motels and the money's taken care of. And Anna's also really good on the court every day, helping us with coaching, especially on the offensive end with the guards. And Doc has just been there to help us in every way possible. Does a lot of local recruiting for us. He gets out in the community and talks to coaches and people along with myself, and so he represents us in the county that way. And all these people are underpaid, but they all do a great job for Jefferson College, and they would probably say they're overworked, and I think that they do it because they love it, and they're just here to help the college 24/7, and they've just been a great staff.
Another group that I'm sure would say Coach is killing us, he's working us too hard, is probably your freshmen, and they've played a really key role this year. You've got a couple of kids that have really provided a lot of spark off the bench.
Really, we have. We've been very fortunate because anytime you bring in freshmen, anytime you bring in somebody from overseas that's a freshman that you haven't known personally, you're taking some type of risk. And the older I get and the more people I know, I think the better job we do sorting out who we want to bring, what type of people they are, try to get as many references on young ladies as we can, whether they're from Chicago or whether they're from Latvia. We try to do as good a job screening those young people as we can. And I'll tell you, Joyce Holloway is playing a lot of minutes for us out of Thornton Fractional South High School in Chicago. She's a three-player for us, can defend and handle the ball and shoot the three and attack the basket, and she's a straight A student. It's just been a real treat to coach. And then Datse Bikani out of Latvia has played a lot of minutes for us at the 4 spot, and Datse is a unusual matchup problem for teams. She can step out and shoot the three. She can post up and rebound. She handles the ball a little bit for us, so she's contributed a lot for us at that 4 spot. And then probably the girl that's come the farthest is Annette Clinsoni has come so far this year as a player. She's not just a three-point shooter, although that's what she does the best. She really opens up the floor for our post players because it's pretty hard to double off of Annette. If you do, she's going to knock down a three on you. So she really keeps people from doubling our posts down low, and Shaq and E and Ashley have all benefited from having Nene on the floor this year. So those three have played the largest role out of that freshman class. And the others have played as well, but those three have been the major contributors.
Coach, we're near the end of the show, and I want to wrap up with a bit of a timeline for the region tournament, moving forward into the national tournament, and we're very near region tournament time. Give us an analysis of the bracket and the rankings and how everybody's going to fill in.
Well, typically each year the region tournament is run about the same way, and the last 4 years the seedings have been about the same. We've been the number 1 seed, and there are 7 teams, so we get a bye. The 7th team gets a bye, and we're moved right into the semifinals, which are played at Jefferson City on March 5th and 6th. That first night we play at 5, and then on the 6th Saturday we play the championship game if we're fortunate enough to make it at 2 o'clock. So the other teams all play on Tuesday night, March 2nd. And those 6 teams will get 3 winners to join Jefferson College in that Final Four at Jefferson City on March 5th. So we probably will end up, Mineral has a chance to upset, I think, and they're a really good team. And otherwise, it usually ends up the top 4 teams usually make it to that Final Four, and that's going to be a real difficult region this year, really tough to get out. State Fair is exceptional, Moberly is really good, and Iowa Western is probably playing better than anybody in the region right now. So it'll be a tough region tournament this year to try to get out and get to Salina.
And again, once you get to Salina, a 16-team bracket, explain that.
Well, the tournament is kind of neat. It's a double elimination format, so every team that goes out gets to play twice. And if you win, you continue to play, and you have to win 4 games to win the championship in 5 days. So we start on Tuesday, which I think will be March 15th or 16th this year. That'll be the first game that we play. Well, if we do go in as the number 1 seed, which now we will or we won't be there, I don't think the rankings will change.
Right.
So we should be the number 1 playing the number 16 on the first day at around noon or 2 o'clock, depending on the bracket that day. So we'll play Tuesday. We may play Wednesday, depending on the bracket, and then we'll play the Final Four start on Friday, and then the championship will be on Saturday at Salina, Kansas that same week. And it's interesting how the seeding works because there are only 16 teams that make it. There's no at-large bids. There's no play-in games. If you don't win your region or your district, you don't go. It doesn't matter whether you're the number 1 ranked team in the nation or not. We've got to win to get there.
Coach, all the best in the region tournament coming up, and we're looking forward to getting that number 30 win and hope that everybody stays healthy in practice up until that point. And again, want to wish you all the luck in the world to get there.
Thanks, I appreciate it, Doug, and everybody that's helped us this year and in the past years, we really appreciate it. It takes a lot of people to make this work, and you and your staff and everybody on campus has really helped us get through this and get to this point. We appreciate it.
We want to wrap up the show, and again, just remind you that region tournament is coming up in Jeff City on the 5th and 6th. You've been watching Sports Talk. Alongside has been Kevin Emerick, head women's basketball coach, and I'm athletic director Doug Stoller.